So today we're going to be discussing Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to be telling you why it literally just takes a couple of weeks of dominance sharply dropping for you to make life-changing money in this market. We're also going to look at the different levels, and I'm going to tell you why I believe this is a strong potential top opportunity on btc.d and what that will essentially mean for your altcoins. So if that sounds interesting, please make sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. I post daily crypto content discussing altcoins and the overall market. And most importantly, make sure to check out that VIP group when you get a chance. If you want to see my buy alerts, my sell alerts, and join a crypto community, which literally never sleeps, we're talking about Bitcoin dominance. You can see people are putting charts in the chat. We're discussing these things on a daily basis, and it gives you that competitive edge compared to the rest of the crowd if you're in a group like this. So check it out and join the VIP. So Bitcoin dominance, for those of you who don't know, what is it? It is essentially a percentage number of how much of the total crypto market cap Bitcoin makes up. I see a lot of people get confused with Bitcoin dominance. I see a lot of nonsense, a lot of hogwash spouted around Bitcoin dominance, a lot of false narratives. And in this video, I just kind of want to give my take on it and talk a little bit about what it means. Okay, so obviously, the total crypto market cap you can see here is 3.3 trillion. Bitcoin makes up 65% of the total crypto market cap. And you can see it's 2.1 trillion. Okay, Ethereum is 300 billion. So you can see all the different numbers in terms of market cap. Bitcoin dominance is obviously focusing on Bitcoin's percentage. Now, one of the things that people get confused when it comes to Bitcoin dominance is, first of all, they forget how quick it can dump. You can see here the time it took for Bitcoin dominance to drastically dump was very quick, okay? Even here, you can see it dump very quick. The second thing that people get confused is how you don't actually need much of a dump for it to be really, really bullish for altcoins. Think about it like this. Bitcoin's market cap is 2.1 trillion. If that just gets reduced by 10%, that's $216 billion flowing into altcoins. That's almost the market cap of Ethereum. That's more than the market cap of XRP and maybe Solana combined. Okay, so that's a huge amount of money pouring into the altcoin market. And that will cause a massive, massive pump. So what I'm going to say today is, first of all, it doesn't take much of a dump for it to be monumental for our altcoins. And second of all, it can happen very, very quick when it does dump. Okay, it can drop 10, 20% in a matter of weeks. We've seen it before play out. So those are a couple things I'm hearing a lot of people say regarding Bitcoin dominance that maybe people aren't necessarily understanding. Now, another point I want to make, and this is extremely important, okay? I hear people, even in my VIP group, or maybe higher ups in terms of their crypto knowledge, some people get confused of this. When Bitcoin dominance bottoms out, that is not always the top for altcoins. I want to make myself really, really clear with that. When Bitcoin dominance bottoms out, that is not always the top for altcoins. So we'll take a little look here. At what point did Bitcoin dominance actually reach its bottom in the last major drop on dominance? At what point did it reach its bottom? It reached its bottom here. You can see this circled level. This is when Bitcoin dominance actually reached its bottom, and it hit a level of 38%. Now, when did it hit that level? It hit that level in September 2022. Let's go and take a look at a few altcoins and see what their prices were during the bottom of Bitcoin dominance. Let's just go and take a look. So September 2022. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Whereabout was that during September 2022? Let's see. September 1.7K. Where was it almost a year ago before that? 4.6K. So had you sold your Ethereum when Bitcoin dominance bottomed out, you would be selling your Ethereum way, 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 way lower in price than had you sold your Ethereum around the time Bitcoin topped out. Okay, when did Ethereum top out? Let's just take a look. It was November 16th. Bitcoin hit 69K, I think November 11th, maybe, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah, so November 11th, November 10th, something like that was the Bitcoin top from last bull run. So you're much better off selling your altcoins around the same time Bitcoin tops out than trying to think you're really smart selling your altcoins when Bitcoin dominance reaches its local bottom or its cycle bottom. Because, yeah, sometimes, for example, here in May, had you sold your altcoins around this period, yeah, you would have sold them at a good time. So the point I'm trying to make here is that simply relying on Bitcoin dominance and saying the lower it goes, the better isn't always the case. Sometimes what happens is Bitcoin bleeds out and the altcoins bleed out as well. Just the altcoins aren't bleeding out as bad as Bitcoin. And that might sound crazy to some people who are new to crypto, but some days last cycle, you would see maybe Bitcoin down 8% on the day and altcoins down 4% on the day. So overall, Bitcoin's market share is reducing in that scenario. And this is really key that people understand this. So I've given you a few misconceptions. Now we're going to look at some of the levels here and we're going to discuss the actual context of Bitcoin dominance and where you should use it. Okay. Because I'm not a Bitcoin dominance absolutist. I see some other YouTubers, they think it's all about Bitcoin dominance. I'm not an absolutist when it comes to Bitcoin dominance. I look at it, don't get me wrong, but I would say that Bitcoin itself in its USD pair is much more important when it comes to timing the market for altcoins than necessarily btc.d is. Okay. Now, obviously, btc.d is important because you need altcoins to outperform Bitcoin for it to even be a worthwhile investment. But I'm saying it's not the be all and end all. And another point, again, I know I keep adding new points, but another point is Bitcoin dominance can still be going up whilst you're making money with altcoins. You just have to be very selective with the altcoins that you pick. For example, the last few weeks, Bitcoin dominance has been skyrocketing. I've made a 2x on Say, and I've made a 2.5x on Aerodrome in that same period of time. It's been going up. Key context there. So Bitcoin dominance right now is at a really key level. It's at that 786 fib level, 66%. And it's actually dropping a little bit here, showing some signs of rejection. The last time Bitcoin dominance came in contact with a fib level, that's when we got that Trump pump in November, and we all saw really, really great gains on our portfolios, okay? That was the last time it came into contact with a fib level. We're now in contact with another fib level. I expect Bitcoin dominance to drop and for us to get some form of a tamed altcoin season in the coming weeks. Now, it might not be this week, okay? I still think there's maybe going to be a little bit of chop before we get that true pump, but I think at some point in the next few weeks, we are going to get that, and there's going to be massive money made with altcoins. Now, just take a look at this, okay? Bitcoin dominance went from 61% down to 54%. Not a massive move when you think about it numerically. Where did others go in that same period of time? So where did Bitcoin dominance? So it went to 61% and then it went down to 54. So let's just measure the move. So you can see here 139% gains from the bottom to the top on others, right? Which is all the cryptos excluding the top 10. Now that wasn't exactly from the point that it topped out. We're going from here. Okay, it did top out a little bit later on, but you can see the point I'm trying to make. You can make massive money if you're buying altcoins, and then Bitcoin dominance even just drops a few percentage points. Another example I wanted to look at was Ondo. And what we can do is we can actually go and add the Bitcoin dominance chart, and we can press new pane, and it's going to show it there at the bottom, which is really interesting. So let's just see the point that it kind of topped out. So it topped out around here. Let's just draw a line on the chart around the time it topped out. Now, when I looked at others, I did kind of measure it from the bottom. Really, I should have done it from where it topped out, which would have been more like 80% or 70%, but you get the point. You can make crazy money on just a small drop. Now, if we do it exactly from the top on dominance to the top on Ondo, let's measure the move. 127% pump. So just in a small few percentage drops, in a matter of weeks, you made a 2.3x on Ondo. Now, what if you bought it at the bottom? If you bought it at the absolute bottom, big difference, right? That's a 3.7x. 274% is a 3.7x. So you're making big gains, and this is on a blue chip altcoin. Imagine you start looking down the ranks, coins like, Peak, coins like Say, smaller in market cap, you can make a lot more money. So the point I'm trying to show you is a small drop on dominance can give you a 3x, a 2x on a blue chip. What if we get this time more of a sizable drawdown on dominance than what we got during the Trump pump? What if dominance goes from 66 all the way down to 52? How much of a pump are we going to get on coins like Ondo then? I would say something like a 5x. And that shows that this is a great opportunity, in my opinion, to be looking towards altcoins if this is around the time Bitcoin dominance tops out. Now, there could be a little bit of some short-term chop here and there in the next week or so. I'm not saying that's off the cards. I think it's very possible that Bitcoin maybe comes back down to 105. We get a little bit of chop, a little bit of a shakeout, and then we skyrocket. But at some point in July or August, I expect us to have a similar, if not better, drawdown on Bitcoin dominance than what we got previously. So that wraps up today's video, guys. I wanted to discuss Bitcoin dominance. Hopefully, I clarified a few key points. Make sure to check out that VIP group if you want to see my real-time buy and sell alerts. People have made a ton of money off those buy and sell alerts. If you want to see what I'm buying right now, go join that group. And just while I've been making this video, people have been talking about the markets, talking about altcoins. Highly, highly recommend this group, guys. It's an absolute no-brainer place to be and to learn from others who are doing the same thing as you, trying to make money with altcoins. If you want to get some extra value, I highly recommend booking a call with one of my representatives. They'll go through your portfolio. We've got an entire document that goes through exit strategy, portfolio management, all of these different things. They'll give it to you and they'll go through it with you on the call, guiding you on your crypto journey. So check it all out down below, guys. Appreciate you watching. Smash a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video on the channel. Goodbye.